I'm glad to see you. That's good. And they do have some. It's like it's awesome.
Sit down there.
I'm driving right now. So we're going to go get this up started. Great move on, though.
So when you headed next? Thursday? Next, let's get this.
Here all week.
Just the staff helps. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Are you guys in the wrong place? You're not giving away anything today. This is not a softball game. Gosh, I can't believe everybody is here. I take that back. Our new city manager is giving out $100 bills after the vote. We're so happy to have him here. He's doing wonderful. He never knew you'd have to meet up with a crew like this. He said, I think I'll go back to Kingfisher and let me know. I said, man. If you guys would stand, we'll have a invitation, followed by Councilman Bennett, who will deliver the Pledge of Allegiance. Bow your head, please. Today may you be surrounded by God's love, comforted by His grace, and blessed by His peace, aware of His presence, and filled with His abundant joy. Amen. Amen.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you have anyone wants to make a comment or anything that's on your mind, then you will have to fill out a piece of paper back in the back. Yeah, to present to us. There it is. Okay, we have one request by, is it Karen Benson?
Yes.
Karen, come on up.
Promise not to be a Karen.
What is it?
You went there and put it in.
I'm nervous, and all I wanted to request is that you consider adding a stop sign at 1825 Andover and Stratford. I know that speeding is like the number one, or at least top three annoying issues all over the state.
Dog
Right?
food's number one.
Okay. Anyway, that area of 1800 Andover has become like a ridiculous speedway. We have racers, even over the past year has gotten out of control. And we have the new sidewalks there, the crosswalk, and we have a stop sign on one side but not on the other, and the cars don't even bother stopping at the other, so they just, and I watch it all day long, so it's not just one or two cars.
Maybe metal spikes with it.
Well, I would love, yeah, something, but I know the least expensive thing would probably be stop signs, so I'm starting there first. Yeah.
Sounds good. And we have yeah, for our traffic. We will register this with our traffic department, who has hearings on these kind of things all the time, so we'll give it to them. Let them look at it. Okay, approval of our consent agenda for council minutes, on our regular meeting from last time. And accepting the claims of the month. Does anyone have anything they'd like to visit about on the council on our approval of the consent agenda? Okay, and do I have
I'll make a motion to approve.
okay. We have a motion to approve, and we have a second.
Yes.
Roll call?
Mr. Bennett?
Yeah.
Ms. Moore?
Yay.
Mr.
Yeah.
Cummings?
Yeah.
Mayor?
Yeah, yeah.
Wilkerson?
Yeah.
Next up on the agenda, we have discussion regarding improvements of the process of collecting delinquent utility accounts. We talked about this at one point in time, a couple of meetings ago, so, David?
I think we left an old copy of the agenda sitting up there, sure.
Okay, that's all right. That's just a $50 fine, you're okay?
American way.
Yes. Here. Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay, I've got to scratch that. We're gonna go to number 5. So we have a consideration, presentation from the county assessor. Larry, step up and give us your thoughts.
Hi, Larry, you want me to introduce you real quick and how we got here? So Larry and I were at a real estate program and we were talking about difference in housing prices, and I was concerned here because we have so many people that are over 65 that literally every time we do something ends up costing people in fixed income more money. And he yelled from the other side of the room, "We got a solution for that!" Literally, that's how this whole thing started. Next month later, he's over here getting ready to talk to you about it, tell you how to do it. David Glover's going to live stream this, so if you have anybody else that needs to see it, just go to Sean Cummings' Facebook page and share it with them, okay? Mr. Larry Stein, County Assessor.
I love coming out and getting to visit from the 19 cities and towns that make up Oklahoma County. For all of you, we're about to prepare the abstract. It's coming up soon, which is I always like to put a cover of some Picasso painting on the cover of the abstract for Oklahoma County, because we are listing all the properties. That's what this abstract is, and there's more than $92 billion worth of property in Oklahoma County. There are more than 325,000 parcels and 720 square miles that make up Oklahoma County. And if you look at the amount of value we have in Oklahoma County, it's about more than 22% of the entire ad valorem base for the state of Oklahoma. And if I presented to you a copy of a couple of items that I hope you'll find enjoyable, if you give me your email, I have some of your emails, and I'd be happy to send the entire vital statistics for Oklahoma County for all of the 19 cities and towns. But we have the Oklahoma County Vital Statistics page, which shows you the number of residential properties, the number of homesteads. That means that's a permanent resident of the person who owns that property. And on the back of it, that's that dollar bill that every assessor's office in the whole state copies, so you can see where the dollar goes whenever you pay your property taxes. And then I have the village vital statistics, which shows there's 4,932 residential properties, and homestead exemptions comply with 1,740 of those residents. And every time I go around the cities in the area, it's common that people don't know who their council members are. And what we're trying to do is to expand that knowledge, and we have all of your contact information on the back and the ward map, so people can know more about their council members, because the worst possible thing you can do is get upset with council and the mayor, and then that's when you have your first meeting with them. It's always better to have coffee first. And today I have a sheet of paper, because we have all of the properties in Oklahoma County that are deeded to individuals. And I know of firsthand a case where a gentleman who was monitoring his sister's house here in the village was stunned when he was driving by. They were watching making sure the mowing was done. And he went by one day, and all of a sudden there were people moving into this house. His sister had not returned to Oklahoma in more than 20 years, and someone was watching the property and figured that no one lived there anymore. And because it was a somewhat elderly community, they decided that what the heck do I lose if I file a fraudulent deed and a fraudulent notary and take that property and sell it? Who'll know? And that's exactly what happened. He was driving by the property, and he was seeing people move in, and he said, "What are you doing?" And they said, "We just bought this house, congratulate us." And that's why we have, through the cooperation of the clerk's office, it's alert.okcc.online. If you go there, I have some of the pictures here, it's on the pages for you. You can file your phone number, your email address, and also your text message number. And if someone tampers with your property, they will notify you. Now, there are some programs across the country where you're expected to pay for an insurance policy to do this. This is a free service offered by Oklahoma County to protect the deeds. I had a meeting today with the clerk's office. That's where the deeds are filed in Oklahoma County. And we're going to work cooperatively with the district attorney's office to see if we can.
Sir, could you repeat what that?
Yes, I've got some sheets, and I can leave them out there. It's OKCC, alert.okcc online. There's no charge for this. It's a service provided to the county to protect people's property. There are a number of ways of providing property tax relief. Sean and I were at that meeting. The gentleman who was there was explaining how it's just horrible what's happening with values. Well, we don't make up the values, we just reflect the values, and in the last year, they've gone up some 25% in Oklahoma County. And when you're looking at the assessment of value, that is something the assessors went to the legislature, and we passed a constitutional change to propose a new number. It used to be limited to $25,000 total household income, but we said it needs to be tied to some sort of inflationary index. And currently it's set with a median family of four for housing and urban development income. And that has gone up more than 16% in the last year to $85,300. There's only one county in the entire state that has a higher number of total household income than Oklahoma County. If you file for that, if you earn a total household income of less than $85,300, we will freeze your assessment of value. That doesn't freeze property taxes because, as you know, you can pass a bond package, you can have a school bond package that passes. But the assessment of value, which is used to calculate your property taxes, will be frozen as long as you qualify for that income. And you only have to file once. We don't come back every year. We expect that you'll be telling us the truth when you file that number. We don't have a government advantage.
Is that age related?
It is 65 years of age and older. You can file for the senior freeze at total household income of $85,300. There is also, Sean and I, we care very much about people keeping their homes. There are other ways of doing this. There is a short circuit that's offered by the State Tax Commission. Sadly, you have to earn less than a total household income of $12,000, but you can get a refund for your property taxes. And then there's also a plan through, if you're having trouble with your property taxes, you can go to the county treasurer's office under Title 68. And if you're 65 or older and classified as totally disabled, you have to prove that to the treasurer. And if your property isn't a rental property, it's a home, your annual income doesn't exceed the Housing and Human Services poverty guidelines, and the fair market value of the property doesn't exceed $125,000, then you can get an exemption from the tax sale, the property tax sale, to pay your taxes. They're complicated, but looking at this, I was talking with the other elected officials, and these are issues that we probably need to address on income and also on value, because there's a lot of $113,000 homes that are selling for $250,000 now in Oklahoma County. So we need to adjust for inflation. We've done that with the senior assessment freeze and the income level. It goes up accordingly. And as I mentioned, more than 16.5% this last year. But we're going to be looking at all of those issues so people can keep their houses and also know more about what happens. I've got my card just about anywhere. I've got some cards up here. I'll leave them at the back. And I always encourage people to call me, but I don't say anytime anymore, because I was receiving a call at 3:30 in the morning, and at the county, we could have all sorts of things happen. We could have a sewer leak, we could have something happening, the building could catch fire, and I got a call at 3:30 in the morning, and I answered the phone, and the gentleman said, "Can you help me with, are you the Oklahoma County Assessor?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Can you help me with some information about a property in Oklahoma?" I said, "Who are you?" And he said, "Well, my name's Sergeant something or other." He said, "I'm serving in Baghdad, Iraq." And I said, "Well, that's wonderful. Thank you for your service." I said, "What time is it in Baghdad?" And he said, "It's 9:30 in the morning." I said, "That's great. You happen to know what time it is in Oklahoma City?" And he said, "Yeah, you're ahead of us, right?" I said, "No, not." So there's two ways we can handle it. You can give me your phone number and I'll call you at any opportune time. Or give me your message, what you want to have answer to, and I'll get you the answer before the close of business. So call me anytime, but if it's after 10 o'clock, wait till the next day. So anyway, thank you all for having me. I've got these documents. I'd love to have, I've got a limited number of these sheets that have all of the assessor options for saving property taxes on the assessment. It's got a QR code on it. And then on the learnokcc.online, I've got a limited number of those as well, but I'd be happy to leave those. And if you could post those on the website, that'd be great. And thank you again. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Yeah. Questions for Larry?
Yes, sir.
Larry, is there a time limit on that filing for senior free?
Yes, sir, there is. You have to file, because of the demands of producing a budget and collecting the correct amount of property taxes for schools. Remember, Oklahoma County is a balanced budget state. We're never going to predict what we collect. We are always collecting for the previous year, so we have an exact number, and we have to have that school money together before we start the process, so they can go by May, so they can start the budgeting process for the next school year. So we're wanting to have all of those documentation done before the 15th of March, so those issues can be settled and we can arrange a tax record, a tax bill for everything.
So I need to actually wait until it comes?
No, if you file between January 1st and March 15th, then it will go in the following year. So if you have a homestead, I know some people may not even have a homestead exemption. If you do it, consider your property from being taken during a civil lawsuit. And it's one of those things that's protected by the courts. And it's an archaic term, but it effectively, your property is being protected as your primary residence. And that's one of those things that's very important. In many areas, you can maybe save $125 a year. That's not a lot of money, but it is a way to protect your property from being taken when you're sued. So, but that also has to be done by the 15th of March. Yes, ma'am.
I think I did that years ago,
Yes, ma'am.
but I had a little baby stroke and I can't remember. How
You
did I
you
do
can check,
that?
you can check online, or you can call our office, and we'd be happy to check online for you to determine whether you still have your homestead. Once you file your homestead, it's always there. We send out a receipt every year of someone who has a homestead, so we can let them know we still have.
Notated on someone's account also.
It is, yes. There's the senior freeze, it's noted as well as the homestead exemption and the additional homestead exemption. If you earn less than $25,000 a year, you can get an additional homestead exemption. Yes, ma'am.
I wrote down part of what you said about the disability, someone that's 100% disabled.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have the information?
I do. I'll be happy to share a couple of copies with you, so you can take a look. Yes, ma'am?
On the
Ringer.
freeze, what'd you say?
Ringer.
On the freeze, and that freezes your taxes for.
No, this is the assessment value.
Freezes the assessment, unless you put on a new building, does it pick up the total value of that new building and then it's frozen for the next year? How does that work when you put on a new, you add a new building or you add to the footage of your house?
If it's a remodeling of the property, then the limitation would come off, but we would add the value of that new addition. We wouldn't bring it all the way up to market. There are homes in Oklahoma County where there can be several $100,000 worth of value that's not being assessed for ad valorem purposes. In Oklahoma County, we have about $1.7 billion worth of property that is not assessed for ad valorem because of the inflationary indexes that we've seen in Oklahoma in the residential and commercial property values. So if everything in Oklahoma County sold tomorrow, we would have about a property tax roll of approximately $1.7 billion more. So if you're making a change, and I know that some people may find this amazing that sometimes people don't file a permit. I'm not shocked. But usually before they sell their property, they'll call up the assessor's office and say, hey, you don't have the 800 square feet that we added in our back porch, so would you mind adding that, and we'll send somebody over and find it. But they wanted to enjoy the property and the extra square footage, but they didn't want to pay the assessment of value. So then when they're ready to sell their property, they've got to have that record, because like it or not, the assessor's office is the official record of property square footage that realtors use every day. Last year, we had about 25 million people visit our website. So if there's an improvement, then we'll add the improvement. That won't necessarily remove the cap.
I have one more question. So the 85,000,
Three
whatever,
hundred.
for that is
Total household income.
everybody in that particular household?
Yes. Yes.
I want to make sure I'm clear on this, because I'm going to be quizzed Tom. To be able to get senior freeze assessment, if the property is less than 85,000.
No, the income level.
Income level is less than 85,000, okay. But do I go to this local KC?
No, sir, you file that through our office. Every year, we usually send out a notice of valuation and a homestead receipt. Every one of those documents has a link to our website. And if you have this sheet of paper that I'm going to give you, you can go online and you can find all of the exemptions that you may be eligible for. The senior assessment freeze is a formula that we have on our homestead exemption forms and also our notice of valuation forms. It's usually on the back. You can check out, fill it in, and then send it in, and it'll go into effect the following year.
So I file through the assessor's office.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
It's important to note that everything follows the homestead. If you
Exactly.
don't have a homestead, you will not get the senior free. So you have to file a homestead in order to get this.
And if you look on the village, you can see that there are 4,932 residential properties, but there are only homestead exemptions on 1,740. I had a call this morning from a gentleman who was explaining how he has a disability, he's blind, and he isn't getting the information about his property taxes in a format that he can understand until he received an email that was read automatically to him. And I noted on his property when I was looking it up that he didn't have a homestead filed yet. So it's an extremely important part of property ownership. It's a big responsibility on the property. And we're happy to help however we can. The numbers are for the office. I've got the friendliest staff, I think, anywhere, and they're very helpful. And if you have any questions, I'm going to leave some cards around. Please pick them up, call us up, call the office. If I didn't get this explained well, they'll be happy to help you in the different departments. And I thank you all very much and appreciate your public service. Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
you noticed that the yearly county auction's coming up, and I was just going to brag on the village. How many cities have no properties that owe taxes because the village is one of them? And I noticed almost every other city inside the county does have properties that owe taxes. We have
Well,
zero.
And I'm very happy to say that I really don't care if you pay your property taxes. That's not my job. I just want to make sure I got the value right. It's the treasurer's office. It's the treasurer's office that does demand you pay your property taxes. After 5 years, they will sell your property. And I'd be happy to do whatever I can to help you keep your property tax as low as possible and also make sure you keep your property. So I'll leave some of these documents here. Thank you all.
Larry? I'm sorry, could I get one of those, the form like she has there? No, the back paper, right?
Yes, you bet, you bet.
Thank you.
You want some copies?
And if you want to.
Well, Larry, thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it. And once again, for those of you, this will be on my personal Facebook page if you need to share it with anybody from there. David Glover did this for us. Thank you. Appreciate that. Hi.
Good to see you working again, Glover.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make some copies.
Okay, Larry, thank you again. We appreciate it very much, very much. We'll move on to consideration of resolution 605, 2023A, declaring that 90% of budget revenues have been received. David?
Sir, Mr. Mayor, under Title 11, section, pull it up here for you. Section 17-211 prohibits anyone from expending funds, the remaining funds or balance until 90% of revenues have been received. As of our report dated April, I'm not putting my glasses for that, April 2019, we have received over 91% of projected revenues.
Okay. Do we need to take a vote?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other discussion? Everybody okay? Okay, we'll have a. Okay, approved. Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Very good. Roll call.
Okay.
Mr. Bennett? Yeah. Ms. Moore?
Yay.
Mr. Cummings?
Yay.
Mr. Sims?
Yeah.
Mr. Wilkins?
Yeah.
Okay. Consideration of FY 2034-24 combined municipal budget presentation from the city manager. It'll take 1 minute.
Did have a typo on that, I will realize that I sent out to you guys, if not send you the updated one. This is the 2023-24 budget, not the 2034-24 budget. So we got that out, I just was not able to get that out to everyone. 2 seconds to switch screens here, please. What you have in front of you is the paper copy, as well as one online here. Instead of having all of the text, discussing everything, I think we could just have a walk through and have a discussion on it, and might need to get some bigger screens in next year's budget, trying to fit everything for comparative purposes on these screens. I hope they can make with what you're at. On our revenues, we estimated revenues last year at $18,807,888. Looking at probably finishing the year closer to 16.3 million revenue, and we're projecting about 16.1 million in revenues for the next year. This is a lower number, but our ARPA funding was accounted for last year, so that's what our major influx on the revenues was. On the expenditures, 21-22 is budgeted at 13 million for expenditures. We're coming in about 13.6, and we're proposing about 14.6 on those, which I will elaborate on as we proceed. And to help you follow along, this slide that is up there is page 10, the revenue and expenditure slide. Essentially, we're projecting revenues that exceed our expenditures, which makes doing the budget a little bit easier. Just a comparison of revenues from what is proposed on the left-hand side today compared to what was approved in last year's budget. Again, ARPA was the major reason on why the revenues are shorter than what they were last year. On expenditures, we've seen an increase in health insurance costs this year that was higher than we anticipated, around 18%. We've also budgeted for all full-time employees a 5% wage increase. Just for the record, that does exclude me. I work for you guys, I don't set my own wages. Requests from the fire and police local were for 8%, and looking at how the insurance impacts hit with revenue, 5% is what we're comfortable with proposing. Also, our materials have gone up, our costs have gone up, fuel's gone up, utilities are going up over 2 3/4 square miles, but we still put some miles on the vehicles. So our budget summary, which is a big confusing page that you need more glasses on than what most of you can see, is a balanced budget projecting revenues at total all fund revenues at 33.5 million and expenditures are the same at 33.5. And that's what I've highlighted on the screen. It's not highlighted in your packet on the budget summary on page 12. And for a comparison and looking at fiscal year 23-24 on the left of the screen compared to what was approved in 22-23 for the current year is on the right. Again, our revenues are a little bit lower than projected last year. Our expenditures are a little bit higher than projected with inflation and the cost of everything rising, but our proposed revenues are still exceeding proposed expenditures. The all funds budget summary, which will be on page 13, is the fund balance, our estimated revenues and transfers, the funds available for appropriation, proposed budget transfers, unappropriated operating reserves, and budget change in fund balance. This is a very confusing spreadsheet that Bruce left me, and I'm still not 100% sure that I figured it out. So I compared it to last year, and we are in the same trend. The red numbers at first kind of really scared me whenever I saw that until I realized that was just a movement. As we have the general fund, the capital improvement fund, our GO bond fund, our sinking fund, special park fund, the village public works fund, and the emergency reserve.
I'm pretty sure if you don't understand it, Mike, right at got you. He's asked 50 questions about that spreadsheet.
Moving into the general fund, what we're looking on the council manager form of government, this year's proposed budget or departmental total is significantly less than last year. That's simply because you pay the 1.5 city managers last year, so that has been adjusted down. Finance is slightly higher, but we've done a little bit of transition. You'll see it also reflected in court, it's going to be lower. We also made an adjustment for workers' comp based on by department. Previously, they've been spread out in every department. Your police, fire, and street, your significant higher ones, and whereas your administrative are about $200 a year, so we have a lower cost on that. We'll see some higher workers' comp costs for the other departments. Legal, looks like we spent a little bit more on it this year than what we budgeted, but Jeff was involved in assist in getting me here, so I think that this year we won't get sued, nothing goes crazy. I think we'll be on track with the budget of 80,000. Court, as you can see, is a little bit less, about 50,000 less, with finance was 50,000 more. That was basically moving one full-time employee from court back to finance. So Treva does help Heather with court, and we have some of her wages accounted, but all of her benefits and her main salary are in finance instead of the court. Engineer, we have a contract city engineer that reviews plans and assesses designs and things for county plan department. Budget was 25,000, looks like about 22,000 this year, bumped that up just a little bit to 27,000. I'm not sure exactly how much we're going to have, but I think we'll be safe with that. Police budget, you will see the yellow is because we amended the police budget last year. So this is an increase from 3.687 to 3.922. A lot of this is in wages. We do have the hiring bonuses for officers that we hire. Their overtime is a little bit more significant in their retirement contribution, as well as their workers' comp. Fire department budget's increasing from 2.7 to roughly 2.9. Again, the majority of that is into the wages and benefits. Public Works Department is up just slightly about $30,000. That was to wages and benefits. No major changes on that, just the material increases. Street and alley appears to have a significant increase from 707,000 up to 813,000. A lot of that was the workers' comp that was adjusted, and then the cost of materials, street repairs, street signs, safety equipment, cones, vests. Sewer up a little bit for the same reasons, for wages, benefits, workers' comp, and equipment and materials. Sanitation is up. We moved that up about 2%. That's what our contract goes up with Waste Connections. So those numbers on sanitation include that 2%. Garage is up slightly, about $6,000 from last year's budget, just based on the wage increase and benefits. We are projected to come in a little bit lower on that. I may be mistaken on this, it was in my notes, but I don't think Garden Camp is a full-time employee. Kevin got promoted last year to assistant public works director. We had a little bit of a lag in time there. Parks Department, we're up from 348,000 to 374,000. Is again personnel material. General government, we are increased up to 442,000. However, in that we have the software. I'm sorry. Let's see. The other professional services did include some 15,000 for some HR consulting, want to review our policy and procedures handbook, want to get our pay scales into one scale instead of multiple ones. The building repair there, increase that, just the building is getting a little bit older, $10,000 a year really doesn't cut it, where we have to replace the air conditioner. Yeah. Building and code has a slight increase. We're not paying for the copier lease prior to, now they are. Copier lease was absorbed by finance, now it's being divided by finance, code, and
At court.
in court. Yeah, so
We could have never made copies of
big copies.
Yeah.
Emergency management remains the same. Existing fire chief is also the emergency management director. He's currently working on a grant for a new generator to replace the one that we have here. So not a lot of activity in emergency management, but we do need to have it identified. So looking at the fund transfers, we're down a little bit lower on the funds transfers from last year. Again, a lot of that was the ARPA that came in and then went straight out to capital improvements. So general fund, for capital improvement, a lot of the general fund cost is the wage increase and the insurance and the benefits. And you guys know that we're not increasing as fast as inflation is, but we're trying to do what we can to keep the value of people that we have content and happy.
Any areas that we've lowered, concerned about?
Not in general. I'll be perfectly uncomfortable with this. I sit in a foxhole with it, but I think that as we close the year out, I'm probably going to bring some budget amendments back to you. I think I might be low on a few projections and let behind a few others, but just that comes with experience. I don't have 37 years of it to judge it just with numbers like that. So I think Bev and I, we feel comfortable.
I think it's good. And one other quick question, that it seems trivial on $14 million or whatever we just looked at, but mowing costs, you kept the same, is that not gonna change with?
That will not change our mowing contract. We have a mowing contract that we will be there because this will be finished in October-ish. So, yeah, we will, we visited on some parks costs. Larry is wanting to look at increasing employment, which is something that we'll get some revenue off of that too. But that's probably getting, we'll make a further assessment on that. That's why I was a little bit early with, if that's supposed to be done in October and November.
Then we should be okay.
3 months of drought, 1 month of rain, it's.
That's optimistic.
Right, so, if it was opening right now, and we're finishing closing the year, yes, that would be a cost. That's kind of on the notes for next year.
You thought about it, that's all I was checking.
Okay, capital improvement fund, which I believe is on page 30 or 32. Is capital improvement fund, goes in 1.797961 in expense, in revenues, and 1.1743 in expenditures. As we close this year out, I think capital improvements is something that definitely will come back for some amendments, just with all the projects we have going on right now. We're getting ready to have the contract for the street projects. We will have bid for the sidewalks and then bids for the drainage. So looking at how some of that funding is getting impacted, I anticipate having more funding in capital improvements to continue the projects. The capital improvement line item, as you will notice on that, we have 131,000 in street signalization sidewalks, the 10,000 in the drainage and the GIS mapping for the sewer lines. We'll also be wrapping up the Gladstone drainage channel and then have the GeoBond drainage projects coming in next year. Vehicle and equipment, this includes the 5 new patrol units as we move to try to get taken vehicles for our officers for police. And building and land coming in at 337,200. So everything that we discussed in the budget workshop for capital improvements, we're able to get in here. Other than the tables and chairs, we really want them for years.
Whose idea was that to kind of?
That set it down the road.
So everything else?
Everything that we discussed. And still have projected,
That's incredible.
working fund balance of about 600,000 in there that we will. And if I was between the TIFs and the bonds and everything we're doing, we're wrapping up, we projected how much cost we're gonna have towards the end of the year, within the month, based on our average. So if Gladstone gets finished before July 1st, I don't think it will, that could impact it. So, General bond project fund, we're projecting 6.357 million revenues and total expenditures of $6 million with streets and sidewalks of 1.65 million, parks improvements of 1.6 million, and drainage improvements of 1.65 million based on the bonds of the 22 first, phase one of the first half of the 2022 bonds. A sinking fund, based on incoming ad valorem taxes, which is, even people that freeze their assessment, they still pay the taxes, so it's okay. We're projecting 1.952 in revenues, and then expenditures of 1.15 on the bonds. Special park fund, looking at a revenue of 24,650, kind of keeping that static from last year. Just really move those numbers overall the same because not quite sure how we're going to do the fall festival this year with Duffin Park under construction and the new park not ready. So not saying we're not, just not sure how we're going to do it yet. So we'll assess that the closer we get on both of those. Village Public Works Authority budget, which is on page 42, proposing revenues of 6.3 million with expenditures of 5.5 million. These are for most our TIF notes, and we'll be working next year to kind of clean this up a little bit. We, the bank first, and the TIF one was paid off, so we'll work to clean that up a little bit for next year's. And then your emergency reserve fund budget, projecting $995,000 in that with a $12,000 transfer, so projecting fund balance to $980,790. I threw a lot of information out there, and I know you haven't all had time to regurgitate it. I'm free, I'm available. This wasn't designed to settle everything tonight. If you have some thoughts or something, we can share now, or feel free to contact me directly. We're going to tweak a couple things and revisit some items on our end, so when we make that update, we'll get it out to you, and then we'll schedule a budget hearing for Wednesday, June 14th.
Did you say TIF one? We're gonna close it out.
Depends on which TIF one. Yes, the first TIF, and then we have
Our introduction to Leslie.
The original TIF notes were paid off. We borrowed another $8 million for the.
yes, so that extended TIF one, but to us, that's just Civic Plaza, so we're working to get all the projects cleaned up and easier to understand before it happens.
In this budget, and again, we need to dig into it a little bit more, but talk to me a little bit about the reserve fund. Have we tapped that to cover our expenses for this year? Some of our expenses?
Not for this year. We did have, if the ad valorem that we are getting ready to receive this month that will pay on the GO bond, if that was short, we had a projection in there for, I think, 680 if we, but we didn't need that. The ad valorem made it.
So basically, all of our expenses that we're projecting here, for all of cost of living, just the general, we have enough income without tapping into our reserve funds. Because there's a lot of, just going back through the payrolls, there's just a lot of stuff that's coming back up that's pretty hefty that, we haven't seen in a long time. So, and that's because of inflation and all that stuff.
And as well, with the inflation and with the cost, the sales tax is higher, the use tax is higher, because people are paying more for what they're getting. So we went through adjusting, looked at all the revenues and made some adjustments trying to get those to balance. A little bit more, again, that was with 1.6 in ARPA that wasn't there, so we are projecting revenues a little bit higher than what they were last year, but we're probably 2 to 3% was the highest we went on some of those taxes.
Did you take into consideration, I think we talked about this before, we know that we're going to have a little bit of a need to maintain all of our TIF projects. whether that may mean, hire additional maintenance crew just for that purpose, and then leave back over and help the street mark and whatever. Have we kind of thought about that a little bit?
We've thought about that, we've talked, Kevin and Larry have had some discussions on that. Really, the other side too of that is looking at what revenue that will generate, what that will bring in as well, and whether we look at adding that as to personnel, or we look at contracting that with landscaping or professional maintenance.
Okay. And that's kind of, that's really kind of a, make it up as you go, because we're really not sure exactly what it's gonna be.
Well, there's gonna be a lot of concrete, there's a lot of sidewalks, a lot of edging, a lot of trimming, a lot of, something more, do we buy more, and that's what we will look at, do we buy more specialty equipment, bring more people in, or do we look at the, what's the cost to outsource that, there's gonna be some.
As long as it's an open door, we know we have to go in there and figure it out. And I noticed you said we did budget for our extra vehicles for the police department, which is very valuable to us, I think, in the village now. And that worked out okay, we can get the amount we wanted to, and we can pay for it without straining. I think that's good. Okay.
And I'm sorry, on the should have ended with this too, or should have started with it too, but on our.
Dave, your screen's went black.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Okay.
How convenient.
Thought my eyes just crossed over.
On the budget summary on page 12, I'm sorry, page 11. This should be a big, long, lengthy spreadsheet.
This one is $7,500 for changing ADF prints.
He said we needed bigger.
The police officers are gonna come in carrying, wheels off the cars too, and trying to get us to approve this stuff.
This is gonna be. Oh, we have a break. We have an open man, green, where's the man? Wondering why water is flowing north down in from Sheffield and Naples. Is there, anybody have an answer to that? Water flowing north down in?
Yeah, it's a lot of water.
East side of the street.
It's more like a water break?
Well, they're laying new pipes and new fire hydrants and all that stuff. I didn't drive down, but I assumed it had something to do with it.
For days.
For days it has.
That's weeks. I think it's a couple of weeks have been that. Sometimes there's a whole lot of water that we're losing.
It's pouring down the street.
That's gotta be to do with water pipes.
I'm sure I imagine.
I think so. It hadn't been, in the past, there have been days where there's been water, but it hadn't been multiple days.
I just drove down there tonight, and what do you think was? Makes me think it's sporadic and whatever it was.
Did you say?
We'll pull this back. We'll get this done this week.
We'll give another answer on it.
I kind of drove,
Hey.
watching the swimming.
There you go. There we go. Welcome back there.
Yeah, there was a time that I was driving down like the middle one, made it kind of middle lane.
Yeah.
To, so, some bicycles, I got on. I think they had some bike tour thing, there's like 4 or 5 different coveys of bicycles. The first one they kind of were there, you know. There was potential for them to get splashed by part of it, was that far out in the road. They were going south. Oh, yeah.
There's 20 seconds.
No, yeah, they were big. The last ones were small, they're still maybe 10. Well, maybe these guys will put there all the time, so retired. I don't know.
Dave will be back.
We're back. Okay.
We're not back up.
We're not back up here.
No, it's the little screen on this one. Yeah, it's got the- There.
Thank you, Larry.
Thanks, Larry.
I didn't get that. Being in there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
may I ask a quick question?
Sure, go ahead.
The building that is being built over here, what is it for?
That's our civic unit.
And the mayor's private parking.
That's,
The one right here.
Right here,
Yes.
that's the new civic plaza, and there'll be a place, there'll be tables under that.
it's part of the new civic plaza that we've been building over here. That whole
Yeah.
open area, so it'll just be an open area, people can come sit under,
Get together,
get together, usually.
singing and dancing.
I drove up here for this meeting only, and I had no clue that it was being built, so.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've seen all this for years, but finally it's physically formed, as you can see, it's pretty, it's kind of everything take shape. Kind of look at what.
You're Michael.
I'm saying it's finally in physical form, you know, we've seen it just through drawings and maps and all that for years. And to see it physically going up, and to answer your question, you know, it's fun. I can tell you what it is now because it almost looks like it, you know, a gathering spot for almost anything. We may have, on Saturdays, we may have some farmers come in and just lay out their oranges and apples and stuff like that. It'll evolve just by, you know, being there and other things. So that's what's so fun about seeing everything go in. And everybody's been, I think, pretty nice about all the distractions with the roads and the rain and stuff like that. But I think they said it's pretty much on schedule. I think the whole thing.
We hope so. We'll see how this month keeps raining.
And the group that's doing the construction, by the way, is Wynn's Construction. They're fantastic. You know, I was telling somebody the other day, Wynn's Construction built Crossings Community Church and school. So I mean, you know, we're just lucky enough to have some folks in here that know what they're doing. You know, a lot of times you look at bids, or you know, and they just happen to be the best bid too. So we got a great group working for us. So, David.
We still have, Bev and I will be going back through this with the red line, so, we'll have the budget hearing set for Wednesday, the 14th, and we will get you an updated copy from the proposal. 9 a.m. And I'll send out a calendar invite to that too.
All right, this would pretty much be the final once we've got to probably vote on it pretty quick after that.
We'll have the hearing and we'll have the resolution to adopt it.
And what's the deadline?
The 23rd of June is when it must be approved by, the hearing must be before the 15th. And it has to publish 5 days, the budget summary has to publish 5 days before the hearing. So
When is the hearing?
it'll be Wednesday, June 14th.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Carry on. Are we through with page 12? We are? We're going to jump into our manager's report?
Well,
Will you do some more presentation of the budget?
or you-
Or you want to dance? What do you want to do? We're good. We'll do anything.
Treasurer's report basically is Monday after close month out, so you'll financials meeting on the 19th. Manager is gone, took vacation, and then worked the budget nonstop, so the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'll have a full report on that department heads for next month, pending your questions. For the city attorney.
I had a question, a second. Let me look at something real quick. We only have 16 pages of papers here. Notice you outlined the meager drainage. Are we on that yet?
Yes, we're complete.
Okay, and I love the pics, they're great pics.
It turned out great.
And Brewer Construction, was the culprit there? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. I like the idea. I think that really came out fine, you know, once it was done. On the animal control, we responded to 12 incidents. I'd like to know, it says 3 animals impounded. Do you know what happened there? Or do we have any bites or any big problems or little problems?
I can find out.
Yeah, if you don't mind, because a lot of times we'll get people, they'll be involved in it, they'll ask us questions about it, you know, just know a little bit about it. We haven't had any big events in a while, knock on wood, so I'm gonna keep it safe.
Is animal control, is the kennels open now? Where they can take in dogs?
They were closed due to the virus or the flu or whatever version that was coming around. He was following Oklahoma City's protocols when they reopened those, so I honestly do not know.
I think Oklahoma County just re-closed.
Yeah, they just did those, but I don't know what that affected us or not.
Well, we're following.
They got dogs.
Okay, okay. Well, I saw Katie on the other day.
Habitat for Humanity, the PUD was approved, where are we after that now?
We're waiting for final plan. So once we haven't had anything back from them, we'll have that scheduled hearings and.
Good, so is the architecture and all that stuff been looked at pretty closely, or is that coming up after the PUD, or?
Well, I mean, the final plan, it's on them to submit the plan,
Okay.
the final plan, so until they get down, there's nothing.
Okay, so that, we're kind of waiting on that, okay, good. 51 building inspections, does that include just, regular, inspections for construction and stuff like that, or when it says 51 building inspections, just curious about what all that is. I like the activity, and it shows a lot of activity.
I'll have to get that, I didn't bring that up.
No, it's okay. And we know we have some new construction going on around town, which is kind of fun to watch. We're still watching the old Ruby's cafeteria taking shape. I think everybody will enjoy what's coming up there. Okay, I think I had that was my question. Anybody else have any questions?
Well, I'm sure that, what's the status of the coffee, the new coffee company? Got people coming?
They're in progress.
Yeah, I don't think there's gonna be a lot of exterior construction on there, I think there's a lot of interior.
One line of the drive-through, but I mean, that was kind of weird, isn't it?
That'll just allow for passenger traffic without having to.
Their whole deal is traffic.
Okay.
They expect like 1,500 tickets a day, is that?
Something like that.
That's a lot.
Good for them.
And we still have did we start a new, the police department started a new, police academy?
No, I think he's not. I think he's- Yeah. He's rather-
So you guys are all wrapped up, they're all done with it now?
And through the spring,
That, I tell you what, if you guys don't know, that has been so successful. I think it opens a lot of eyes and it just makes people feel good, you know, with what we have.
It was excellent this last time. I went to it the very first time years ago.
Mhm.
The technology has changed
Hasn't it?
totally, and the presentation and everything was excellent.
It was real impressive.
and it changed from the first one they offered last fall to the spring, because I made up some classes that I missed. And it was unbelievable. I mean, and I was there when they did the police scenarios, because I knew what was gonna happen.
Yeah.
And then they showed us how we should have acted to do the police stuff.
Well, and I remind everyone too, that I don't think everyone was on the council then, but we were the first municipality here in the area to have body cams. And we beat Oklahoma City, we beat everybody. And that was mainly because we had a pretty good group that could write grants and, you know, we got it first, so. And, you know, that was still when it was kind of a negative, I think, on some people's minds, but all of a sudden it just caught fire. People figured out that was really a positive thing and not a negative thing. You know, it shows things that you need to know, especially if you have a question. So I was 20 years ago, I was in the very last academy, and talk about the change in technology. You know, that's really amazing. And we still had our dog back then, real sweet. When you're around him and you're non-confrontational, he was real sweet. But anyway, so those were the fun things to see the step up from 20 years ago to what's going on now. The way they present it, I know it's probably a lot better. So it's pretty cool. Okay. Let's move on to new business. Did I miss anything? Have we done all of our stuff?
Council comments.
Yeah. Council comments will be my new business. Okay, we'll start down here. Okay, Melody?
Hi there, everybody. I did want, as far as my comments, to be this month in observation of Pride Month. I was part of the Pride, for the first time, the Pride Parade. I was invited to participate, and I was so pleasantly surprised of how welcoming and how family-oriented everything was. And I will say this, I logged 18,000 steps yesterday, and I was pretty exhausted when I got home, but I kind of just wanted to see everything from tip to tip. So I parked in one space and then walked all the way in the parade and everything. And so I got to meet some other municipality participants, one new councilwoman from Norman, and a school board member from Norman as well. But I just wanted to share that with you all in reference to the fact that I have multiple members of my family whom I love and cherish in my immediate family and beyond. And I just want I wanted to share that with you all to make sure that people remember that just because of all the rhetoric that's on TV, and they range from gay, queer, lesbian, all of them, trans. I have a trans brother in Tulsa. And I just wanted to share that with you all because number one, they are people. Number one, first and foremost. I watched one grow right before my eyes, and I still love them, and they still love me. And so that's that one thing. And on a more somber note, I wanted to share that my neighbor of 29 years, a resident of the village here, her name is, I wrote it down because I knew I was going to get a little misty. Miss Clara Lee Pettis. She was my neighbor 2 doors down. She was there when I moved in. She had custody of 3 of her grandsons when I moved in, and my husband's already gone, but, when we moved in, we were one of the youngest couples on the street, and, the kids used to come down and knock on our door and ask, can your husband come out and play? Because we were 25 years, 24 years old, almost 25 when we bought the house. And so he did look like the kids at that time. And so anyway, she has been my neighbor for 29 years, and she gained her wings about a week and a half ago. And so her service will be on Wednesday of this week. So just be in prayer for the Pettis family, and thank you.
I think the only thing I could cover is, it would be really nice if we have a very large gay population here in the village, and we could do a much smaller version here in town. And the reason I bring that up is I'm gonna be doing some Juneteenth stuff in Midwest City, and hopefully Melody's coming with me, and we're gonna see how it's done so we can do something next year for Juneteenth here. And the only way to learn how to do it is to go do it somewhere else. And it's their first year, so we get to see whatever good things happen, bad things happen, and figure out a way around it, and we can get it set up for next year. That's all I can.
Melody, thank you for everything you shared. I was gonna bring up Pride Month, and I can't say it any better than what she did. Many friends who are gay or LGBTQ plus. I love them dearly, and they are humans. Valuable lesson I learned on that note that I was going to share with people. You don't give somebody dignity. They were born with dignity. And I wish our state could recognize that a little bit better than most people. I certainly hope village neighbors recognize that, because what an incredible thing to have a neighbor for 29 years. That's pretty spectacular. You probably didn't care anything about her other than she was a great neighbor, a great person, and you guys took care of each other. So I know my neighbors in my block, we look after each other in a similar way, and that's what makes this community great. Doesn't matter who they are, they live next to you and take care of them. So thank you for sharing that. It's a good reminder. Just wanted to applaud the contractor that just wrapped up all the work on Carlton. Great, speedy job they did. You guys haven't been down Carlton, there's 2 lanes of concrete right there between Chesterton and Gladstone. It's been a headache for all my neighbors. My lovingly say primary constituent, my wife, who loved to share with me every day how the city could do this better. So I think everybody knew that, but they did a great job. And it was challenging because you had that going on, you had Gladstone going on. So if you thought getting to the meeting tonight was challenging, the past 2 weeks over in my neck of the woods, the challenge was getting home because we didn't know which way you had to go. But then just kudos to them. Kudos to the city who came out and moved all our trash cans one day to make that happen. Anyway, I loved it. I loved coming home at lunch one day and all the construction workers were in my yard eating lunch because I got the 2 big trees. They kind of saw me driving down the street and waved. I pulled in the driveway and you kind of see me go.
Yeah, but you shouldn't have eaten their sandwiches.
Well, speaking of taxation, anyway, I just was impressed with all the work over there, and we do appreciate that. So, anyway, it's a great month, love your neighbor.
That brings us to our attorney, I love that neighbor attorney. What do we got? We good shape? Anybody after us? Individually or corporately?
Aside from our ongoing crossing dispute, which is entering discovery, but we haven't done anything to file yet, so.
Now, we'll be a lot older for that. If it comes to fruition, I guarantee you. Mr. City Manager, 3 months? How long has it been? 4 months? You set a record for a new city manager. And we haven't driven you off yet. David and I were interviewing this young man the very first time, and we were over at our attorney's office, and for some reason, he's from Kingfisher, and he's got a basketballer, and I do too, a grandson that plays basketball, and they played against each other, last year, I believe it was, in the semifinals of state. And of course, they beat us. And my grandson is, he was an all-state player, and he was very good, and so the team was very good. And I said, did you know that I have a grandson and we played each other? He said, yeah. I said, well, I'm not interviewing you anymore. You did it. And so I think that set it all straight, set it all right, so that was good. Beverly, anything with you? Are you crazy yet from making the budget? You know, start taking some Sundays off, we'll be okay. I was gonna make a comment too. I have a gay son, so, it's amazing how the world is different, It's been interesting, but there's an opening when that happens where you learn things, you discuss things happen, and it's all different. We accepted that a long time ago. Of course, I'm old, my son's old, he has a partner, we love his partner, we love him. They live in California, so they would move anywhere else, they love it. But we're in constant contact, we're a great big family, and so it's been interesting, it's been eye-opening, and it makes you a better person. So anyway, I'll share that too. Because we live it every day, and we love it. We have contacts, we call, we phone, we laugh, we do the same thing that everybody does because it's accepted. And so anyway, everybody has something that touches them. I know you guys have things that touch you out there. Just continue being in the village and knowing that we're an accepting community, but we want to make sure that everything is correct. We do things right, from our police departments to our fire departments to our council, and now to our new city manager who's got everything right. We've had to mortgage our past city manager's house several times to meet the budget. And since Dave doesn't live here, he doesn't fall into that category yet. So we'll be looking forward to a new house so we can mortgage your house.
I think it's still remortgage prices.
Yeah.
Can I make a comment?
You may.
Yeah, I don't know how to put it all together, but I live in this community over here, what's it called? The Vineyard. And, every Friday we have donuts in the park, in the pavilion, new pavilion in that gated community. And this past Friday, one of our residents was honored by Channel 4. I don't know what it's called, because I'm a Channel 9 person. I don't know what it's called. Moving it forward. Pay it forward. Pay it forward. And they came out, and the bank that gives the money. I was there, the lady that's the news person and the camera, and Daryl Hadley was honored because of his volunteer work. He painted all the mailboxes, there's 82 mailboxes, he has all the sprinkler system. He's 86, he's been here at 65 years, he was one of the first students at John Marshall High School, and that sucker never stops, he's the Energizer Buddy. So anyway, Wednesday at 10 o'clock on Channel 9, Channel 4, they're gonna show the video part that he was in.
That's awesome.
Did you say Wednesday at 10?
Wednesday at 10.
I bet you will have one.
Okay. Thank you guys for coming. We appreciate it. See you next time.
Thanks, David.
Larry, we'll see you later.
You're a Channel 9 person.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I love.